Hi, this is Lainey Cameron. I am excited because I'm here with Lauren Ho, who is joining me all the way from, where are you, Lauren?
Singapore.
Oh, hi,
I had
from
to put the
Mexico to
jazz fingers.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got some sparkles behind you. That's a really cool space as well. It's like
Oh, yeah.
sparkly. So, we're talking about Last Tang Standing, which is so freaking funny. Are you happy
Mm.
with how it's gone so far? It's getting great reception.
Oh, thanks. It's doing pretty well, but it could always do better. That's the Asian in me.
The Asian in you.
It's like doing like good, but it could always do better.
So tell us about it. Tell us a little bit about Last Tang Standing and the inspiration. How on earth did you come up with this idea?
I was an amateur stand-up comic in Singapore for 2 years. Um, I guess that elicited no reaction from you, lady. I'm disappointed, but it's cool. So I was basically doing a set on stage about conditional love and Asian parents. And like Andrea Tang just popped into my head, and I thought this would be a compelling woman to write about. And I kind of fashioned the plot around her, and the bare bones of Last Time Standing started forming. And 1 year later, she was born.
Have you and Suzanne Park done anything together? Because she's also a debut, her novel Loathe at First Sight, and she's also a stand-up comedian. I don't know if
Oh,
you
I
knew
think
that.
she's a legit stand-up comic. As in, like she's done like real shows with awards and stuff. I'm just the person they put on stage when they run out of people to put on stage, and they're like, okay, she can do 5 minutes, but don't expect too much.
So, are you funny in real life? Like when you're hanging around the house, when you're hanging out with your kids, are you funny?
Um, yeah, I like to say yes, but I would be lying. So the whole reason I started stand-up comedy, aside from the fact that I love watching it, was basically I thought I should I should try to be around funny people so I can learn from them. So basically I'm like, in like family gatherings or like dinners with friends, I'm like the person they stick next to, the one they want to shut up, like, the racist old uncle. They'll just put me there, and I will sap the energy of the racist old uncle, and he'll be like, "Why do I feel so weak?" And it's because I'm next to him telling him some story, and it's really boring, and then he goes
Well,
to sleep.
you undersell yourself because this book is laugh out loud funny. I read some of the reviews just to see what people were saying, and extremely fun, hilarious, heartwarming, couldn't stop laughing. Like the comments and the reviews are fabulous. People love this thing.
Thanks. So as I said, like, I'm studied funny. So after 2 years, I kind of like graduated to like B plus. So this is my B plus humor shining through in Last Time Standing. Imagine what my next book will look like.
Oh, your next one, oh man, I'm gonna have to like set aside time and not be around people so I can laugh out loud. But let's look at a review because you got a starred review from book page. Book page, but let's one of the book page. And I love how they compare this to Crazy Rich Asians meets Bridget Jones Diary. And I will say my experience of your book here is yes, but it's funnier than Bridget Jones Diary to me.
Thank
The
you.
reason I say that is the character's not a weakling. Like in Bridget Jones' Diary, she's a bit whiny at times for me. I know people love that book, and I love it too. And hey, the movie with Colin Firth. Who doesn't love a movie with Colin Firth?
Yeah.
But also she's a little whiny, and I thought your character's less whiny. She's more go get him and make it happen, and she's sarcastic and snarky. She reminds me a little of my British friends that way. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think I've read that many books set in Singapore, especially like in recent times. Right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like
Obviously, there's Crazy Rich Asians, but I mean, like, he's talking about a very, like, very, very, very uber
elite,
wealthy.
elite,
Yeah.
very uber wealthy. Yeah, this is slightly
Yeah.
different.
Uber
This is more
wealthy.
kind of middle class, but she's funny. Your main character is funny, and her parents are pressuring her to get her whole family's pressuring her to get married, and she's trying to make her own way in the world and not be pressured into marriage and
Yeah.
kids just because.
Yeah, and actually, that's a problem that a lot of modern women face from this part of the world. It's like, it's quite universal. Like they are working women and they want to achieve so much, but at the same time, they also have to contend with rather traditional pressures in a way from their families. So it's like it's really tough. It's like a tug of war at all times, trying to please everyone. And my book
Well, her
actually,
internal monologue is hysterical. When she's dealing
yeah,
with that in her head, the things she's
yeah.
saying inside her head to herself are really funny.
So I mean, like it's actually just a book about finding your path and finding your own happiness, more than it is really about romance. But of course, I stand the romantic characters in my book. They're pretty, like they're kind of based on real people, but don't tell. Well,
Don't tell
but
them.
within a fictional details that I won't be sued for libel. There you go.
So how did the book change over time? We know that, you start with one thing and you had an idea doing stand up, which is the best origin story I've heard so far for a book, by the way. So how did it change over time as you were editing it?
Like the book had a completely different ending in the beginning, when I was, shopping it around to agents. And it's because I'll be honest, I was pretty crap at novel writing back then. So, or maybe I was writing a different novel, like, I wanted it to be a little bit more ambiguous, So the original ending was not so pat, if you wish. Um, yeah, but I listened to my agent and I listened to my editor, and she kind of like said you need to do some rewriting in order to sell this. So I did a couple of rewrites with my agent's guidance, and I did a couple of rewrites after I got the book sold. But that was because, as I said, I am an overachiever. And by then I was like, let's not stop. Let's make it better. And at one point, my editor was like, give me the book or we're going to call the lawyers on you. And I was like, oh no.
Give it over, let it go.
No, no, no. I gave the book over very willingly. Don't worry.
Awesome, awesome. Well, do you get time to read? I know you have little ones, right? One. How many little ones do you
One,
have? One.
one.
So do you
Yeah.
get any time to read?
Mm, so I was in Malaysia for a year. I just got back to Singapore like a month ago, but I'm Malaysian. So during the time my husband was seconded to Malaysia, I actually had time to read because I was actually not working full time. Of course, being a mom and writing full time is tough. But I was also juggling a day job back then in Singapore. So I actually had a lot of time to read. I felt like I was catching up on like a decade of not reading because I was working in legal and then I was heading some other thing.
Yeah. So tell me what you've enjoyed recently. What have you loved reading?
Well, obviously, I read your book, Lainey.
Thank
It was
you.
great. The Exit Strategy for those listening. And I read Pamela Scholzwig's book about a menopausal vampire, which I thought was brilliant. It's called Forever 51. And outside of our debut group, there are just so many good reads. I mean, there's like so many good writers in our group, but I also love Frances Cha's If I Had Your Face, Emily St. John Mandel, is that her name? Yeah. The Glass Hotel. Um, yeah, what else have I read recently? I'm just starting on Jessica Cox, is that her name? And Heather Morgan's The Royal We, which is something I've heard so many people talk about, and I just thought, like, why not since I have time ish.
Ish.
Yeah, so ish, yeah. And I have a couple of books I have to read for to blurb for, and there's just so many things going on as well, as well as trying to find time to write. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, these are the books.
Awesome. And any advice for writers who want to be like you, maybe even stand-up comedians who wish they could write a novel? Like what advice do you give to people who are earlier in their careers who are trying to learn how to write and get their book published? Like, what do you say to folks?
Um, I have a lot of advice, so this might take a while. first and foremost, this is like the first book I finished, but I've actually been writing short stories for a really long time, like competitively, of course. So I used to submit the stories to like international fiction writing competition, national fiction writing competitions, and would get placed or sometimes be a finalist. So I have had a history of writing short stories regularly. So I think this is really good for you if you're a wannabe or a soon to be published author, that you write regularly and you read widely. So I recommend everyone to read across genres and also to read um, writers who are not from the same cultural background as you, not the same nationality, because you pick up so much. And I also recommend that you actually finish your manuscript because that is important. So read widely, write regularly, and finish the damn manuscript. Set up a schedule and stick to it. Kind of. Give yourself space as well for the days that you feel like crap and you don't want to write. We're all going through a pandemic, so you got to give yourself time to uh, relax and enjoy other things. But you should also finish your book. Yeah, no book,
Finish your
no
book.
talk. Yeah.
Let's talk about, we're almost at the end of our time here. Let's talk about how folks can connect with you. And I know you're on Instagram and you also share photos. Part of how I know you have the most adorable kid is because you share photos on your Instagram. And also hellolaurenho.com. Folks can connect with you there as well. And do you like hearing from readers? Does it give you a kick when folks reach out or email or comment?
Yeah, so far my readers have been really like kind and really enthusiastic. So I've gotten some wonderful DMs um, from strangers, from new readers, and from fans, I guess. And I really appreciate these because they are usually very like encouraging, and I'm just really touched, especially when people tell me that they're really glad to see representation of people from this part of the world on the book, because there are actually not that many in terms of contemporary fiction. And in the genre that we're talking about, which is like women's fiction, comedic fiction, and also rom com. So I'm really pleased that I am able to represent a small segment of the market.
Well, it has been lovely of you to join me today. Thank you, and let's chat again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Lainey. Bye.